What's up, everybody? It's Young Cure with Day 5 of the Fallout 4 Countdown Retrospective. We are officially 5/6 of the way through our 30-day countdown, everybody. Only 5 days to go. For today's Countdown Retrospective, I would like to take you back to E3 2015, where Bethesda would host their first ever E3 press conference. You can bet your ass that all eyes were on Bethesda after the incredible hype that they generated with their Fallout 4 announcement trailer. Now, people weren't expecting much, especially since on May 7th, 2015, German website PC Games reported that only members of the press would get to witness a 20 to 30 minute gameplay demo behind closed doors, with nothing being unveiled to the public. But that wouldn't end up being the case. Bethesda would instead provide a feast of footage and details for Fallout fans to make up for the incredible wait. Check out this highlight reel of the Fallout section of Bethesda's E3 2015 press conference.
This is great. Look at this. You all came. This is amazing. I need to let me take this in. Holy crap. You know, when I first started at Bethesda 21 years ago, yes, believe it or not, there was no E3. There was none of this. You remember that? We had CES in Vegas, and the video games weren't even in the main building. They were in like an ancillary tent with the porn. I'm not kidding. Blizzard's booth was closer, for the record. But now look at us. Look at all of you here. Look at video games. Everybody online watching this. This is how you spend a quiet Sunday evening, I guess. And you do this because games are important to all of us here. And I think we can all agree that tonight starts a week with E3 that is the world's best week of entertainment ever. Because entertainment is an essential part of our lives, and games can do things that nothing else in entertainment can. They can transport you to new worlds. They can give you the true wonder of discovery, and often the pride of accomplishing something yourself in a game. It's a wonderful moment. And in the world of entertainment, there are very few things as good as Fallout. You know, we've worked on Fallout for over 10 years now, and we started designing this one actually right after Fallout 3 in 2009. We were busy with the Skyrim game, but for the last 4 years, we have been working very, very hard to create something really special. And we've done a lot, and tonight we are going to show you a lot. And it all starts with an obsession to detail. Our artists concept every button, every blinky light, not just on one terminal, on all of them. Because it's our belief that it's all of these small details coming together that form a much, much larger whole. And that last image is really important because one of the great things about Fallout is the world that existed before the bombs fell. And that is where our game starts. On a beautiful Saturday morning with the threat of nuclear war looming.
You're gonna knock him dead at the Veterans Hall tonight, hon.
You think?
Absolutely. Now get ready and stop hogging the mirror.
Right.
And this is where you create your character, by simply selecting part of the face and sculpting.
Such a cute nose.
What do you think, hon? Beard or no beard?
We're going to speed up time here and show you just how easy and powerful this is to create all new characters by just sculpting and making changes wherever you want in the face. No series of sliders.
Hey, my turn, big guy.
And of course, you can play as a female. Whoever you leave the menu as is who you'll play. And this is an entirely dynamic system. It's the same system we use to create all of the game's NPCs. We even generate a baby based on the couple you make.
Good morning, sir. Your coffee, 173.5 degrees Fahrenheit, brewed to perfection.
Thanks, Kazuo.
Of course, sir.
Nuka-Cola. Ice cold. Sugar bombs. 100% daily value of sugar.
Good morning. Vault-Tec calling.
Vault-Tec? Remind me again?
Why, we're about you, sir, and helping secure your future. You see, Vault-Tec is the foremost builder of state-of-the-art underground fallout shelters. Vaults, if you will.
But there's room for my entire family, right?
Of course, of course. Minus your robot, naturally. In fact, you're already cleared for entrance. It's just a matter of verifying some information. Wonderful. That's everything. Just gonna walk this over to the vault. Congratulations on being prepared for the future.
Thanks again.
Hey, it's peace of mind. That's worth a little paperwork, right?
Mr. Howard, Sean has been changed, but he absolutely refuses to calm down.
You heard Codsworth say my name. That isn't for the demo. We actually have recorded around 1,000 of the most popular names for him to say.
How are the two most important men in my life doing? Spin the mobile a bit. He loves that.
Sir, Mom, you should come and see this.
Front reports of nuclear detonations in New York and Pennsylvania. My God.
We need to get to the vault. Now!
I've got Sean. Let's go.
Almost there. I love you. Both of you.
We love you too.
Hold on!
Now, we're not going to be spoiling or talking about the game's story tonight, but you do survive and get lowered into the vault. Events transpire, but you then emerge 200 years later as the sole survivor of Vault 111. This is an enormous dynamic world where you can create any kind of character you want, go where you want, and do whatever you want. Player freedom remains our absolute #1 goal. This is running on a next-generation version of our creation engine, features full physical-based rendering, as well as dynamic volumetric lighting.
As I live and breathe. Mr. Howard, is that really you?
Codsworth? You're still here. So, other people could still be alive too.
It's worse than I thought. You're suffering from hunger-induced paranoia. Not eating properly for 200 years will do that, I'm afraid.
No. No, that's not possible. I wasn't out for that long.
That means you're 2 centuries late for dinner. Perhaps I can whip you up a snack? You must be famished.
What? Food? Yeah, sure. I need a minute to think.
Then I'll be right back.
Even our dialogue is dynamic. It is not a mode you're locked into. You can play it in first person, you can play it in third person, you can walk away whenever you want, you can shoot him in the face if you want.
Hey, boy. What are you doing in here all by yourself? You want to come with me, pal? Okay, then. Let's stick together. Hey, head over there.
And yes, you can give the dog commands by simply pointing at things in the environment and activating them. It's all contextual.
Grab that. Ready to get back out there?
It is from here that you'll explore the most ambitious and detailed game world that we have ever made, culminating in the massive ruins of downtown Boston. Thank you. Now to the cool stuff. This is a very old photo from the future, of course, of the invention of the very first Pip-Boy, which will become the world's greatest smartwatch due to its power and portability. And of course, we have a new one in Fallout 4. This is where you find it when you leave the vault. Now, you do spend a lot of time in our games looking at your stats, your items, and more. So we put a lot of emphasis on making this entertaining, but also making it come alive on the screen. Your various items. We do have a layered armor system now. There are holotapes you can listen to, and some of these are even game tapes. We like all kinds of games. Yeah, we just, the Pip-Boy is an important part of Fallout, and we love it so much. We made a real one. So this comes with our collector's edition. So it is the Fallout 4 Pip-Boy edition. And yes, you can put your phone in it. And yes, we made an app for it. So it works with the game, and yes, it's a second screen experience. And usually, I find second screen experiences, they're generally just stupid gimmicks. But like, as far as stupid gimmicks goes, I assure it's the best fucking one I have ever seen. It is awesome. It is. Here, I'm going to show it to you in action. It works. It actually works perfectly. It's the same code that we use on the Pip-Boy running on the app. Works on any platform on your local Wi-Fi, Xbox One, PS4, PC. Of course, if you don't get the Pip-Boy edition, it'll obviously still work on your smartphone or tablet. It's going to be iOS and Android, and it'll come out when the game comes out. But we've also done something else for your smartphone and your tablets. A totally new game. I know. We're busy. We do stuff. Back in 2007, we were making Fallout 3, and the iPhone came out, and we just fell in love with it. And we played games on it all the time. And we kept talking about making our own game for it, a separate game from what we would usually normally do. We had a lot of ideas. We kept coming back to this one that we felt would be perfect on a touch screen, and that would be no better anywhere else. So we decided to do it, and here it is. It is called Fallout Shelter. And in it, you get to make your own vault. And you are the overseer controlling everything. What's even more exciting is that this game is coming out on the App Store tonight. But we're not done talking about Fallout 4 yet. So back to the big one. We love building stuff in our games. And if you think about building and crafting, Fallout is kind of the perfect world to do all of that in. So like many things, we have gone completely overboard. And here's how it works in the game. We're allowing your character, while playing, to rebuild. And it works like this. You can scrap items in the world for materials and then use those materials to build the way you want. And one of the great things about having a fully dynamic game engine is all of this just works in real time. Rip it apart and build the way you want. Like the rest of the game, this is about making it your own experience. We want you to build and decorate and make yourself really a place you want to live in. A new home for yourself and your best friend, of course. As your settlement grows, people will arrive, including certain traders. They have some of the best items in the game. For these people, you can plant food, water, and even power generators. All right, so the generators will power things through switches that require power, lights and other items, and then you run wires that connect them all, and again, it just works. You can also build your own terminals that hook to this power grid, and then you can control the various things and tweak them that the power lines are connected to. This includes things like turrets, because you do want to build defenses because your settlements can and will get attacked by raiders. So it's fun to build up something yourself in the game that usually you'll find that we have built for you. And there are many large sites in the game world where we allow you to build. And you can even run Brahmin caravans between your settlements. Keep in mind, like most things we do, this is an optional part of the game that you can do if you want to. It's just one part of a huge game, but it's really great for Fallout. We just absolutely love this feature. And this crafting system carries over to other things in the world. So let's say you want to build this scope. And the game will tell you you need these components. And those components are found in all of the items in the world. So you could decide to build this scope out of these, say the microscope, a toy car, or these, duct tape, an alarm clock, and such. So we like to fill our worlds with thousands of items that you can interact with, and now all of them have purpose. And here's what it looks like in the game. We do have over 50 base weapons and over 700 modifications for those weapons. So you could take a basic, a laser pistol from Fallout, just one of the base weapons, and then modify that and turn it into something completely new. And you can even modify your own power armor. We've spent a lot of time on all the weapons and the armor because we have focused heavily from day one to make the combat in this game feel great. And feel great no matter how you played it. You want to play it full-on first person, you can play it in third person, or you can use VATS, which now gives you more control to slow down time and choose your shots. You know, there's a lot of great things that this game does, but I tell you, you could be experiencing, you know, a quiet moment in the game with your dog, and the right song comes on your Pip-Boy, and the action breaks out, and you're reminded just how fun and special a Fallout game can be.
Ready to fuck some shit up?
Got a doll, baby, I love her so. Nothing else like her anywhere you go. A man, she's anything but tall. Regular pint-size atom bomb. Atom bomb, baby, little atom bomb. I want her in my wigwam. She's just the way I want her to be. A million times hotter than TNT. Atom bomb, baby, loaded with power. A radioactive TV tower. A nuclear fission in her soul. Loves with the electronic control. Atom bomb, baby, little atom bomb. I want her in my wigwam. She's just the way I want her to be. A million times hotter than TNT. Atom bomb, baby, before she can start. One of those chain reactions in my heart. A big explosion, big and loud. Like a tree right up on a cloud. Atom bomb, baby, little atom bomb. I want her in my wigwam. She's just the way I want her to be. A million times hotter than TNT. Atom bomb, baby, sweet as a plum, carries more warmth than uranium. When she kisses, there's no hitch. 0 hour, she turns on the switch. Atom bomb, baby, atom bomb. I want her in my wigwam. She's just the way I want her to be. A million times hotter than TNT. Atom bomb, baby, little atom bomb. I want her in my wigwam. She's just the way I want her to be. A million times hotter than TNT. Baby, little atom bomb.
It's good to be back.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been obviously a really special project for everybody in the team. Many of them are here in the house tonight. Can you guys wave? Give a big hand. You know, our fans really are the greatest in the world. I know many of you are here tonight, and I want to let you know just how important it is to us, and we know we have a responsibility to do this game right, and your love and support of Fallout have pushed us to make this our best work. And we really appreciate everybody's patience. You know, we didn't say anything for years in this game while everybody waited. And we don't want you to wait too much longer. So we're happy to say Fallout 4 is coming out November 10th this year.
What surprised me most, and I think a lot of you will be with me on this, was the release date. I was expecting a 2016 release window at best, but instead we got an exact release date of November 10th, 2015. That's only 5 months after the game was announced. The hype had never been so real. Following the press conference, a barrage of information would make its way to the internet, thanks to media coverage as well as Bethesda's social media, starting with an interview that directly followed the press conference hosted by Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
Oh, we saw so much that it would be difficult to cover everything, but here to help with some of the details is the game director, Todd Howard. Todd,
Hello.
That was amazing. We're very
Thank you.
excited. The fans are excited. Everybody's excited. I'm scrunching my cards with excitement.
There's a lot. We're excited. Everybody in the office is excited as well. It took, waiting for this moment to finally unveil the game. It was a really, really big thing for everybody in the team and us as a company.
Yes, how does it feel to finally go public with that? Are you relieved? Are
It
you
feels
excited?
really good.
Or are
Like
you
want
exhausted?
to. People say to you, like, so what are you working on? You're like, stuff. So it does feel good to be able to just even tell your friends. I will say the one that doing the mobile game, doing Shelter and then not having that leak in any way to finish it completely. Everyone in the company was walking around with it on their phones to test it and oh, we got to get this out and to do it and release a game and not have anybody know about it. It's really, really cool.
Someone's like, what are you playing? A tiny tower?
Yeah. it's far out, Shelby. So, I've always been fascinated by what your team can accomplish. And I think, as you pointed out at the beginning of your presentation, that level of detail. What is sort of the mood of you and all of your team as you're making something as big and massive as a game like Skyrim, but you're also focused on details that are just so small in particular?
Well, we want to get transported in a world. So I think there are little details that you want to have be there no matter what, that you can touch everything. And we kind of get in these debates as far as what's the gameplay there. But the more you can do that, the more you're suspending their disbelief that they are in this world. So when you do something crazy and have a death claw show up or these other things, you believe that as well. So we do obsess over the detail. And it goes back to our previous games and stuff that I grew up on, like the Ultima games, and I can bake bread and do all of those things. So having it be a believable place is very important to us.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since a Fallout game. A little while, as we kept getting reminded.
Yes.
By the fans. How has the technology changed in that time?
Well, clearly you have the next-gen consoles, and the PC can do a lot more now. And for the kind of things that we do, it's particularly the memory, actually. So having consoles with a lot more memory allows us to do big, dynamic things. And that's important to us.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of Fallout 4, it is Boston. There's nothing wrong with Boston. In fact, I have to say, one of the most common questions I was seeing on Twitter from me was to find out if every small town in Massachusetts was somehow being included in the game.
You can just mash them all together, right, into one town?
We mess with scale quite a bit. If you played Fallout 3 and you look at DC, you'll see that we do change scale up quite a bit to kind of fit what we want to do and change up the landscape.
But
we don't like sitting on the 405. I don't want to sit on the 405 in a video game.
Even in the apocalypse, with all the cars removed, I don't want to do that. But I'm curious, was there a particular reason that you guys were drawn to Boston?
There were a number. We did some things in Fallout 3 that kind of reference it. And you look around where you want to place a game, something like Fallout, and the Boston kind of New England area has this good vibe of American history, but also like high-tech stuff. And so it's a good fit for Fallout. Unfortunately, I was going through all like the Fallout 4 perks in my head, and the ones I like I don't want to reveal yet.
Yeah.
No, not that one. So
we do have a challenging 6 months ahead of you.
We'll be talking about that stuff later. We intentionally don't cover it here, and it's even in 30 minutes. It's tricky to give people a perspective on everything we're doing because, believe it or not, there is more.
I'm sure. But something that you did talk about, which I think got a big cheer from the audience, everybody was excited about, was the ability to create a settlement. This is something I'm personally excited about. I know that I'm going to spend my entire time making settlements. How important is that to the game? If somebody doesn't want to build, are they going to be punished for that? They don't have to.
We've always done kind of loose decorating and house building in our previous games where you just buy a pack and someone decorates it. We notice people taking all of their items and decorating on their own. And when you look at Fallout, doing something like that just fits. And so, those other games that do that, Minecraft and those kind of things, really inspire us. You'll see some of those inspiration on, looking at how people build these really complex machines just in Minecraft with some simple stuff. And we felt that we could do that in a really cool way with the world of Fallout and our tech allowing it.
And I think it kind of raises the level of where I could do interior decorating, which is sad mattress in the corner and some airplane chairs over there. That's kind of where my brain is. But what really is neat, and it fits with that and more that you showed, is how everything in the game has this new sense of value. You know, you get all those objects, and you can break them down, and you can build so many objects out of it. Just from kind of a logistical perspective, I mean, how do you sort of account for how many things that can be made in the game and how many things can be turned into a component that can then be turned into something very fun and useful?
Our designers crunch a lot of numbers, so we can look at how that breaks down. But there's also this moment like what feels right. Some of that stuff, and you'll see it in the video, is perk gated. But having all of those things have value actually has changed the gameplay in ways we didn't expect. Like usually in our games, people might collect that stuff and it's all for selling, that's your main way of getting money. But now you realize, like when we're playing, if you find like, a lamp, that has good stuff, like don't sell the lamp. So you end up
hoarding, I believe.
You end up hoarding, but like it changes the balance of the game in a very interesting way, where you're not immediately, I'm going to take this and sell it, I'm going to take this and sell it, I'm going to take this and sell it, because you're looking at everything saying, I'm going to take this, do I want to sell it? It has a filament in it, and I need that for, what do I? And so it's got a nice tension just in the junk. Does that make sense?
Do you think that as a player you'll start to develop kind of an interesting taxonomy? That's something that in our present day that's a stupid lamp, but they were saying, oh, hold on, that's a lamp. I think maybe if I get 4 more lamps, I'm gonna go on the lamp quest.
Yeah, there are these. We do have it's referenced in 3, the Giddy Up Buttercup. It's like a play robotic horse.
Yeah.
And it has tons of screws, which are really important. So whenever you see a Giddy Up Buttercup, like, jackpot for screws. I need screws to build this thing I want to build.
So we're going to go back to another social media. This is from number 4, all out.
That's an awesome...
It's a play on words and numbers all at the same time.
That's an awesome Twitter handle. I like that.
What things did Bethesda Game Studios learn from making Skyrim and Fallout 3 that they wanted to change and implement into Fallout 4? Because you guys are always in an iterative and ever-evolving process.
Well, I wouldn't say we're taking a specific feature. One of the things that we do, particularly given the success of Skyrim, you get a lot more, we'll call it data, on how people experience an open game. And so we don't ever want to give that up. We'll sacrifice certain things to make it completely open. Whereas in other games, they'll be open, but you can be, if you're on a quest or something, they'll shut down other things. And in our game, you can be on every quest at once. So I don't want to spoil anything, but one of the things I think that we've spent more time on is how does someone experience an open world and doing all these things, and how do we tell a really strong story along with that? So that's been something that I think we've made a lot of good inroads on that we'll talk about later.
Well, and the game is voiced. Your character is voiced. That is something that we've not seen in either in Elder Scrolls or Fallout. Was that a tough decision to make?
Yes and no. I mean, it's one of those things where if you look at stories being told really well in games, a lot of them have a voiced character. So it's like, if you weren't looking at what we did before, you would expect the character to be voiced. And our main kind of anxiety with doing a voiced character was finding the right voices. We have 2 great actors doing the male and the female. And they've been fabulous. And also how much time they had, because we didn't want that to hold back any of our writing. So each of them they've been recording stuff for the last 2 years. They've each recorded over 13,000 lines of dialogue. So it's a lot of time in the studio for an actor. And it's really come out great and allows us to do some storytelling and emotional moments that we quite couldn't hit before.
Todd, thank you so much for joining us.
I have to say, it is great seeing you 2 back doing this.
It's
been really a lot of fun memories doing the show and just having you be a part of this. It's awesome.
This was then followed by an interview between Jeff Keighley and Todd Howard a day later on June 15th, 2015. Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Howard is here joining us for YouTube. Todd, congratulations, first of all. Good to have you out of hiding.
Yeah.
You disappear for a time. We know you're working on something, but we don't know quite what it is.
Yeah, I like to be at the office making games,
Yes.
so when we have something to say, we pop our heads up and
do stuff like this. It's great to see you again.
It's good to see you as well.
It's good to see this
People are waiting
still
for us
going.
to get back together, and now is the appropriate
I
venue.
do always enjoy it where you make up features and ask me if they're actually real.
And then you go back and build them, right? No.
Sometimes yes. Sometimes yes. We get the pressure to do that.
Yes. So let's talk Fallout. There's so many questions that I think everyone has coming out of yesterday's presentation. Obviously, the big news that it's coming out this year.
Yep.
Why did you guys decide to wait so long to tell people about this one? Because I remember when we worked together on Skyrim, you sort of at the end of the previous year said, hey, it's coming in November. This year, you guys wanted to wait, obviously, till E3.
Mm-hmm.
So you must be very far along with where you're at with the game.
We are. We're almost done. You know,
Wow.
so we're where we need to be for release. And I think, part of that is I think people talk about their games like personally too early.
Yeah.
I like the moment of finding out about something and that swell of excitement.
If you can keep it secret.
That was hard. Well, we obviously had some leaks.
Right.
But, on the scheme of the game and how big it is, we had very little.
Yeah.
And the fact that the mobile game didn't leak at all, and we have, everybody in the company has it on their phone playing it.
Right.
That was really great. So I just think that kind of wave of excitement, like I want to get excited about things and like not have to wait a year or hear things and it gets delayed. So the other thing is going into the next gen, and our games are really big. We're kind of iterating on features and figuring out what is it really going to be? What do we really want to talk about?
Yeah.
And that takes us a while sometimes.
Absolutely. Well, you showed the game obviously the first time a couple weeks ago with the trailer, and then last night went into a lot of the cool features. One of the most interesting things is that, to me, I'm always interested in the narrative, and I know you guys aren't talking a lot about sort of the main quest or storyline, but you obviously have, fully voiced protagonist now, character.
We do,
and that
yes.
was that's a new shift for you guys. Tell me about, was that something that you iterated on that idea over the years, or from day one did you say we want to do this, or how did you come to that decision?
Well, one of the things we looked at coming out of Skyrim was how do we tell a good story while maintaining a big open world where you can do what you want. Like at the end of the day, you're sacrificing some control over good flow of a story to let the players do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Having a voice on a character lets you hit those emotional beats just a lot better. If you were to take away what we've done before and you were to do a game like this, you'd have the character voice. But it was a debate.
Right.
What are we going to sacrifice if we have a voice? And we did get two great voice actors for the male and the female, and that really helped. And then the ability, they've been recording a ton over the last 2 years. And so each of them have recorded just right now, it'll be more, over 13,000 lines of dialogue. Wow. So it's part of its logistics. Can you pull it off and not have it hold you back from all of the different options that you would want in a dialogue system?
Because you're working in this, your bunker there for 3-4 years thinking about this. Was that something from day one? You're like, I want to do this, and then you try it.
It was day one, yes.
And then did you have doubt along the way? You're like, I don't know if that's working anymore, or did it? I guess you find your way as you go through this.
We were committed to trying it until we did different systems with the interface and things like that. And when you jump in, and what's the text that you put on the screen?
Right.
So what do you have on the screen versus then what comes out of the character's mouth, and how does that all flow?
Yeah.
We actually, what you're seeing in the demo is that the cameras are cinematic. That was a late edition.
Okay.
The first thing we did was make it all work first person.
It's
just like another way, like when you roll over something and you go to activate it, characters are the same way. So you roll over them, the buttons come up. So you could literally play this first person, and we haven't shown it yet, but eventually we will, and then you can just look away and then start doing something, and the guy's waiting for an answer, and then you look back and the prompts come up.
Okay.
So it's not like a mode you're locked into. It's just, it's another way of activating something like you would your gun or the door, or I look at you and I want to say this. And it actually let us do multiple characters in a conversation, and we actually got to the point where you could have 2 conversations at once. It's rare. We don't want that to happen, but you could give this guy an answer, move away and give that guy an answer.
So more freeform to be. Oh, that's interesting.
And that's really, we want, player agency is really, really big for us. So it took a long time to get there, but it has really worked out well.
That's amazing. Well, visually it obviously looks great, and we love what you're doing sort of in terms of storytelling with it. I wanted to ask you about sort of, the genre of, RPG and what you've been building with it. There are lots of people now that are focusing on, like, how do we make these things more online? How do we bring players into the world? Is this still strictly sort of a straight single-player experience?
It is.
Okay.
We always kind of, if we did multiplayer, what would we do when we have good ideas? But at the end of the day, we're still about the same size as the team we did with Skyrim, and our hearts are really in single player, and that's what we want to focus on and make it the best it can be. So yeah, that's still what we're doing.
But very cool, obviously, mod, and you mentioned this morning in Xbox that mods are going to move to Xbox, which is amazing. I mean, you look at the Skyrim mod community on Steam; it's just insane to sort of think of the world you're building and then where people are going to take it. Are you thinking, from a story perspective, how you're going to let people sort of play in the world even more and sort of play with the story and dialogue and things like that?
With mods in particular?
Yeah, mods. Yeah.
I mean, our view in mods are that the community will figure that out.
Yeah.
Like, they'll make the stuff they want, and they make so much of it that the high quality stuff and the stuff people want kind of bubbles to the top. And we just want to provide the tools and the infrastructure to make it all work smoothly.
Yeah.
And being able to do that on the Xbox now, and I want to be clear, actually that feature is not coming out at launch.
Okay.
So like Skyrim, the creation kit's going to come out soon after, probably very early 16.
Okay.
And then the mod
For everybody, right?
On the PC,
yeah, PC,
right? So the creation kit is just a PC thing.
Yeah.
And then the Xbox One part of that will come after that.
Okay.
And then after that, we do hope to get it on PS4 as well.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, absolutely. We want to get this to everybody, but there's a lot of hard work that has to happen.
Yeah.
And our relationship with Microsoft over the years makes that, and the PC connection, makes it the best place to do it first.
Absolutely. Well, it's been an amazing E3. I can't wait to see more of Fallout 4. I guess this is going to...
This was then followed by a tweet by Bethesda that they would post on June 16th, 2015, just 2 days after their press conference. Here's what they had to say. From Bethesda Game Studios' Todd Howard, Dogmeat cannot die. So basically he confirmed that Dogmeat was an essential NPC, and that NPCs of this category would exist in Fallout 4, which is only natural. On the same date, website IGN would post some information from their interview with Todd Howard, where he would talk a bit about mods. He revealed that in order to prevent save files from breaking, Fallout 4 will create another version of your save game. That way, players can choose from the menu to choose to play a modded game and keep their save files intact and corruption-free. Then, a day later, on June 17th, 2015, website GamesRadar would post an article that would give gamers an idea for just how massive the game is. During their interview with Bethesda, one of the most interesting quotes came from lead producer Jeff Gardiner, who said, "I've played the game probably 400 hours, and I'm still finding stuff that I haven't seen yet." Todd Howard followed up by saying, "I'll be playing the game and run into something and be like, who built this? What is this? It's so big." The game's gotta be pretty massive when even the creators haven't seen everything throughout the course of the game's development. Very intriguing indeed. On that same date, on June 17th, YouTube user Vaultboy would release footage of Todd Howard's E3 2015 panels, where Todd Howard shared a bunch of new details about Fallout 4.
That we released a few weeks before E3 kind of set the internet on fire. And then, at the showcase at the Dolby Theater, I mean, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say you might have blown the roof off the theater.
Approach it casually by any means. And there isn't a single part of the game that we haven't debated and gone over, and how can we make it better, and what's right, and how can we put more and more and more and more into it. And that's like a video like this, even though we want to show you hints of the game world and stuff, it's mostly about that. And that's, I think, just those pictures of those computer panels, they represent that for me pretty well.
So you talk about building these worlds and building them from the ground up and trying to capture all those details. But in the past, you were working with less horsepower. Now you're making a game that's coming out to the PS4, the Xbox One, and the latest PCs. What does having that extra horsepower working on current-gen consoles allow you to do, especially in terms of details, that you weren't able to do before?
Well, I think with each of our games, the graphics is always going to move along, and you're going to look at any, most games today have really good graphics. It's pretty standard. But what we like to do with that, not just the graphics, but memory is important to us, how much memory it has, is we can make a world that has more, not just more details, but more dynamic details that we can keep track of, or we can stream in and load quicker, and all of that suspends your disbelief that this is a real world. Because there are quiet moments when maybe you're going through a ruined place, it's a little bit scary and dusty, and You know, it's downtime, and it suspends your disbelief that you're there. So then, when something crazy happens, you know, a deathclaw comes busting through, it's that much more real.
You feel like you're really immersed in the world. It just allows you to really be part of that world, right?
Yeah, or you stumble into an old, we go through a lot of environmental storytelling. Stumble into a bedroom where maybe somebody lived.
Technical talk, you mentioned full physical base rendering and dynamic volumetric lighting. Now I know what I saw the water looks beautiful, the world looks beautiful, but what does that mean? Tell us, and what does that mean to the gamer?
To the gamer, it looks prettier. So people like that. The volumetric lighting is I don't know that we show it off as well. I think the shot in the trailer where the vault door opens and you see it come through is decent, but you know, when the weather rolls in, that sense of haze isn't just a series of effects that are on screen. They're actually tessellated, you know, polygonal volumetric lighting that is hazing the world, and it's really good for Fallout because we're doing a lot of things that, even though we have areas that load, we have a lot more things that don't load. So you're going to enter into like a destroyed house, and then those dust and light and fog shafts that are coming through, you know, various holes from where the sun is, and then, you know, spending time and watching it move. It just creates an atmosphere that we haven't been able to do before. And the graphics matter. They do matter in setting you in this world.
But I noticed that, I think a lot of people noticed, was how much more vivid the colors are, especially the blues of the sky. And just there's a different color palette. Is that intentional? Is that something, do you express
intention? Yeah.
Sure, well, of course.
Yeah, and it was funny. I think we're so used to it because we've been working on the game for so long that when people said, "Oh my God, there's blue," when you first saw it.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, the first thing you said, "Hey, Gary, we think that there's blue. Why wouldn't there be blue?" You know, so. I mean, for us, the world is already, you know, looking back at Fallout 3, when we start the game, we'll go back and play them all. Right. And just kind of like reset your mind, okay, like what feels best for Fallout. And looking back at 3, there is this sameness to the environment. It looks good. Right. It doesn't really vary much. And so it can be, if you're playing the game for an 8-hour stretch, it can be a little depressing. So our view was, the world's already destroyed, first of all. You're going to get a lot of, you know, grays and browns and dust. And Istvan Pele, our lead artist on it, was, you know, really calling out things for your attention that had bits of color that we wanted to do anyway, so finding the right balance of that. The other thing that really people need to know, we kind of hinted at it in the trailer and the other footage, is that there is different weather. So you'll see a couple shots where it looks more like Fallout 3, where it's kind of blasted. And that, we actually have a part of the world we call the glowing sea, which is where the bomb falls. So we want it to vary as opposed to just being one note. So there's a section of the map where the bomb fell, and that looks more like your classic Fallout 3 wasteland, but even more so. And then we have a new weather system for this one, so that the storms from the glowing sea, these radiation storms, can flare up and then blow through the world. And when the lightning goes off, you get irradiated. But that creates a very post-apocalyptic look. And so having that change while you're playing the game is really important to us. So then there's rain and other things as well. So, you know, I think in the stuff we've shown, we've made it a bit brighter, just because that does show better on video.
Right. But there's a real range, which is some
yeah. So you
nice...
need the color there. If you're then going to desaturate it, we need to have enough vibrancy there at a base level.
You know, you've told us a little bit about the environment, how it's going to take away. But what can you tell us about the story?
Nothing? No. I can tell you that we have spent more time, I want to say without spoiling anything, looking at how people experience an open world game and yet tell a story, and a strong story that, and how it reacts to the choices you make. So, you know, looking at Skyrim, we do sacrifice, or other games, we do sacrifice really good storytelling for player freedom in an open world. And we will still make that sacrifice, but we found, sitting down and going through it, Emil Pagliaro is the lead designer and writer on this one, he was on Fallout 3, looking at, well, what can we do, not, fix it is the wrong word, but take advantage of the fact that it's an open world. What is a really good story to tell, given this is the kind of game we want to make?
The big question that I think a lot of people have had, can Dogmeat die?
He cannot die.
That is awesome.
He can get, that's your only applause. We're doing all this.
People love dogs.
Yeah. We're done.
Finally, man.
He can get really hurt, so he'll go down and be incapacitated during a fight, and you can run over and jam a stim pack in him, and then he'll get up. So we kind of find the dog dying is it's a reload scenario for. No one plays the game, the dog dies, they go, fuck it, I'll just keep playing. And so, we wanted to make him, when he's your follower, your actual companion in the game, there's a number of them, not just the dog, they can't be killed in that state.
Oh, that's great. And, of course, do you have to have the dog, or is that another player?
No, you can take him, you've seen Mr. Handy, he's one of the other companions, so you can take Mr. Handy instead of the dog and you can swap him in and out. So we'll talk about this later. We do have a number of companions that fit. They're very cool and that fit different archetypes. And the dog, I think, is a very classic Fallout one. That's why we're showing it now. You could any of your companions you can use the command system on. So you could have Mr. Handy and command him to do things as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's why we went through the effort with him of saying your name and all that.
Trying to look at how to tell a story, right? If we wanted to tell this big epic story, and do that in a way that the player sort of relay emotion and have these emotional moments. And we realized, there's only so much, if you play Fallout 3, Liam Neeson is the voice of your dad, and there are some good emotional beats there, but there's only so much you can do when you're just clicking on a line of dialogue and there's no spoken response and you can't. So the emotional depth that we got by having a voice protagonist is just actually way more intense than I even expected, like the advantages of it.
Yeah, some of that was logistical. Can we?
Right.
We didn't want to hold back what we would usually do with, all the choice we want. So, they have spent years on it. Each of them have recorded over 13,000 lines, and also we found, two great voice actors for the male players.
Yeah. Well, Todd, could you believe it? We actually have him here.
Believe it.
Yeah. So we'd like to welcome to the stage voice actors Brian T. Delaney, Courtney Taylor, and voice director Kalo Bogdanovich. How'd I do? So welcome, guys. It's pretty exciting to have you guys. And I guess Courtney wasn't able to make it.
She's lost somewhere in the electronic miasma.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you guys get started on the project?
I started out almost 4 years ago now. I had done voice direction for one of the DLCs for New Vegas, and then later I worked on Skyrim. And when they started putting this project together, well, I guess they had been working on it for a couple of years, but when they started hiring people who do what I do, we did some early tests about 4 years ago, and that's when I jumped on board, and it's just been one of the highlights of my career. I'm really grateful this time.
Highlights of mine, too. I remember I looked it up. July 9th, 2013 was my first day of work. And I remember I knew this was going to be a big deal, but I didn't know the game title. I only knew the code name.
Yeah.
So we show up, and I do the first line, which happens to be War Never Changes. And I say, Cal, just can you tell me what the name of the game is? And he says, well, yeah, the line. Right, the line, of course. Yeah, I know. I didn't. So when he told me and the scope of the game and what they were doing and what Todd and the team were doing, it kind of blew me away. Even more so than when I first found out I booked the job. So pretty cool.
What are some unique characteristics of working on a project this massive compared to other things you've worked on?
The number one difference between this and the many other games that I've worked on is the amount of time and care that has gone into the writing and then the recording of this material. I don't know how much you guys know about this, but in a lot of other games, AAA games, they'll wait till like the last month or two to record everything for the game, and it's a huge rush. Sometimes you're doing like 100 lines an hour, and it's nuts. To have had the artistic luxury of being able to work on this with these two, unfortunately Courtney's not here, these two incredibly talented actors for as long as we have, almost 3 years, definitely 3 by the time it launches, is just, it shows an attention to detail and a respect for the material and for the audience that you just don't see elsewhere. It's really extraordinary.
And for you guys, what's it been like working with them?
Awesome. You know, it's, again, that goes back to, if we're going to really do this the way we want, we need to logistically figure out how we can record voice for 4 years. And so, you know, Cal came in early. We did some, there's some performance capture we do in the game, so there's that part of it as well. And we were anxious, you know, about having a voice, because like, it changes, like, how do I feel about my character? And when we heard Brian and Courtney, and we obviously, we auditioned a ton of people. I don't know if you know how many.
Oh, yeah.
It was, oh yeah.
Yeah, really?
Oh yeah.
But you were number one.
And we'd have team voted. So we would put up various pictures of different character faces and make everybody in the team, you know, everybody in the team listen to them. And like, okay, because sometimes you get a good voice, but it doesn't feel right to everybody. And it was like a, you know, Courtney Taylor.
Yay! Courtney Taylor.
I just looked at my phone, sorry.
This was a late idea, by the way. Everybody like, oh, you should come. It'll be great. But anyway, finding them really made all the difference. And it's weird. Actually, today's the first day I actually met face to face. And like, I've been listening to his voice as the character, and they both have really owned the characters for years, and it got better and better and better. And we'll speak to it too, because most of the writing.
You talk about, well, so that, you know, you can play the game as a female protagonist or male protagonist, and you, so everything, so either gender can do everything in the game, right? So it was really cool for me to see the differences in the lines and the things that Brian brought and the things that Courtney brought were sometimes completely different. Like, I would write them a certain way, or the designers would write these things a certain way, and you would expect a certain performance, and then they would deliver something way beyond what you would expected. And so that actually happened very early. And that, you know, I spoke earlier of trust. It establishes trust with, you know, we have this very emotional story, and the trust you have to have that these, you know, these folks are going to knock it out of the park. It just, the recording sessions almost became conversational, you know what I mean? Just like, let's go in, let's do it, you know? And the communication to be able to talk to these guys and Cal about, that's not working, can we try it this way? Yeah, all the difference. That's awesome.
This was then followed by an article posted by website GameSpot detailing their interview with Todd Howard. He began by mentioning that he wanted players to start in the pre-Great War era so that when players see everything destroyed after the war, they have a sense of personal loss. It was also mentioned that Fallout 4 tries to tell a more personal story with the integration of a family, so husband, wife, child, pet companion, etc. Todd Howard refused to elaborate beyond that, however. Further down the interview, they started diving into bits about gameplay, particularly regarding the first-person shooting mechanics. Todd Howard stated that he didn't think the first-person shooting mechanics of Fallout 3 were very good, which is why he strived to build a first-person shooter and integrate that into the role-playing mechanics, so players can choose to play first-person shooter style. But Todd Howard also noted that they wanted players who use VATS to have an edge, stating that characters built with VATS in mind can be really powerful. And that's pretty much it for all the important bits. The rest of the interview mostly talks about the development process. The next bit of information would come 2 days later on June 20th, 2015. Website Digital Spy released an article stating that according to Todd Howard, Fallout 4 will run at 1080p 30 FPS on everything. While console players weren't taken too aback by this, PC players were concerned. as many thought this meant that Fallout 4 would be capped at 30 frames per second on PC. Bethesda got wind of this, however, so 2 days later, on June 22, 2015, they took to Twitter to rectify that the 1080p 30 FPS cap would only apply to consoles, while PCs would not be limited in resolution or frames, which was a relief to hear. Digital Spy would follow up by posting the full interview in which Todd Howard talked about the resolution and frames per second through another article released 3 days later on June 23, 2015. The interview begins with a lot of Fallout Shelter questions, but then Todd Howard was asked about the possible risks of announcing the game and releasing it in such a short space of time, to which Todd Howard replied that he would have liked to make it shorter if he could, and that he likes the idea of showing the whole game and what it does in one fell swoop, as that kind of marketing campaign gets everyone excited. There was then talk about when Todd Howard and team came up with the concept and story of Fallout 4, to which Todd Howard replied that they started right after Fallout 3, with one of the first things they thought about being the beginning of the game. Following these early conceptualizations, they moved on to deciding on the setting and world, which they chose Boston after much debate due to the references to the Commonwealth from Fallout 3, as well as the fact that it had the right flavor of location, as it combines both significant American history with high-tech stuff that Boston's well known for, a combination that in Todd Howard's opinion is very Fallout, and I think we all would agree with him. There was also a bit of talk about the new technology and hardware, and if the team knew from the get-go that they'd be developing for the new consoles, to which Todd Howard replied that he had known for a while, and that knowing this has helped tremendously. He mentioned how the new consoles are very similar in architecture to PCs with lots of memory, which greatly reduced the porting process. They then began talking about mods and whether they would be coming to PS4 at some point, to which Todd Howard said yes, unless Sony says no, which he doesn't think they will. But he did confirm that the modding capabilities would be made available for PC first in early 2016, followed by Xbox One and finally on PS4. The topic then shifted to the in-game building that was introduced during the conference, a feature that was decided on pretty early in development. When asked about the advantages of engaging in this optional feature, Todd Howard stated that players would gain experience points, that players will want to make themselves at home, and that there are story reasons as well as specific quests that will encourage construction. Digital Spy then asked about the map size, which Todd Howard was hesitant to answer because map size can't really be measured by square units. He mentioned how Skyrim has one map size, but things like inaccessible mountains, stuff that isn't really game space, take up a lot of space. Todd Howard plans to avoid wasted game space with Fallout 4. He mentions how cities are very dense in Fallout 4 with no load, unlike in Fallout 3 where towns and cities were often sectioned off. Fallout 4 will be very dense with tall buildings, a lot of them open, allowing players to just seamlessly walk around. He concluded by saying that Fallout 4 is around the same size as Skyrim, and in terms of density, when asked about lots of interesting secret quests to find and characters to meet, Todd Howard replied with a simple, "You have no idea." Then, when Todd Howard was asked about how voiced protagonists would change the game, he stated that it would make the game better, as emotional moments feel a lot better. He also reiterated that both the voices for the male and female protagonists, Brian and Courtney, have each recorded over 13,000 lines throughout the course of years. Then, when asked if voice protagonists was decided early on, Todd Howard responded that they knew they at least wanted to try it and had to work out the logistics of whether it was possible to do it, both in terms of gameplay and scheduling actors. He also detailed that the conversation system in Fallout 4 is dynamic. While it may initially look like those cinematic conversations seen in games like Witcher 3, where the player is locked in place, he mentioned that this is not the case for Fallout 4. The cinematic style is just one perspective, but players can shift into first-person view, look around, walk around, and potentially talk to multiple people at the same time fluidly. The interview finally concluded with the resolution and frames per second question, which, as I stated before, received clarification from Bethesda on June 22nd. Moving along, I would like to talk about an article published by website Mashable on June 25th, 2015, 2 days after Digital Spy's June 23rd interview, when the website asked Todd Howard if they had considered multiplayer for Fallout 4. He replied with, "Believe it or not, every time we do a game, we design a multiplayer mode just to see what we would do. Then we go, yup, we shouldn't do that. That's an awesome idea that is way too distracting from the main thing we want to do, which is single player. I could see ways it would work, but development-wise, there are very different experiences. According to the article, pre-production is usually the time when Bethesda consider ideas like multiplayer for possible implementation into their games. It looks like the idea didn't make the cut this time. The last bit of information for the month of June comes from another article from Games Radar published on June 25th, 2015, the day following Mashable's article. Games Radar had a chance to sit down and talk with Bethesda's VP of Marketing, Pete Hines, who, when asked about the close time gap between game announcement and release date, stated that this was done to maintain hype and excitement, rather than having all of that dwindle down throughout the course of months and years. He also pointed out that Fallout was big enough of a title that they felt as though they could get away with it, which he was absolutely right about. As I've stated many times before, the game practically advertised itself throughout its development cycle thanks to some avid fans. Finally, he stated that during the time of reveal, the game was very close to being done, which is why they could show so much of it to the public during E3 2015, which, as I stated before, came as a surprise to everyone. And thus concludes all the information released during the month of June, or as I like to call it, E3 month. Obviously, lots of new information would release in the coming months, but we'll talk about those in future episodes of the Countdown Retrospective. With that, I would like to end Day 5 of the Fallout 4 Countdown Retrospective. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about Fallout 4's E3 2015 presentation and the barrage of information that followed. And to be further updated on Fallout 4, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.